Welcome back, everybody, to Gundam's Grace, presented by the Gundam Evolution New Type League. I am Evan Wonder Chef Hashimoto, joined by Jamerson Lee. Oh my gosh, I'm just biting my tongue here as we speak, but it's because I'm excited because we've got so many good matches still to go. We just saw two of our best teams play, but now we're going to see one of the teams that we did see, in fact, already. TEKKA is going to be taking on Team Bork, which is a team that we didn't get a chance to see last month, but we did get a chance to see before.
Yeah, it has been all 2-0s basically down the bracket so far throughout the day. We'll see if this one remains to be true here in the semifinals. It wasn't until we got to the winners finals and the grand finals and semifinals, or excuse me, the losers finals, where we got to see 3 maps and 4 maps taking place. So for right now, it's basically coming down to who's going to be facing off against Team Sucky Vacuums there in the winners finals tomorrow. It's going to be Team TEKKA, it's going to be Team Bork. And I'm really excited to see this because, again, I'm not as familiar. I wasn't there when we saw Bork initially playing with this roster. And so I want to see what they have in store for us, especially after having missed out, I believe, in Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, they did. But they did really great job in the EGL tournament as well. So we know that they're a really, really strong team, and they encapsulate one of my favorite things about what we currently have in the Gundam Evolution scene, which is that we have so many different teams coming from different games. As I do know, a lot of Team Bork is a team that comes from Splitgate, which is a shooter that I don't know all that many teams from. So it's really, really cool to see that. And we actually got a little bit more info over the break. So, for example, Team IQ, who I believe is still in the losers bracket, they come from Battlefield, which is a game that we saw Team Gundam Unicorn last month in Halloween Havoc come from. And then we have the team that we saw, Portland Burnsiders. They actually come from TF2. We just learned it during the break. So huge shout outs to them. So we've got teams, from there. We've got teams that come from, Overwatch. We've got some Overwatch players. We've got just all across the board, so many different games. Of course, Powerpuff Girls, a lot of those players played a lot of arena shooters. There are a lot of old guys, which I respect. Please keep us old guys relevant. But yeah, it's really cool to see so many different teams from so many different games come together to play this sick game about Gundam.
Yeah, and again, we just have so much more in store for us, right? A new unit's coming out, a new map as well in just a few more days. Big changes as well to the spectator client that's going to be here in custom matches just in a few more days. So count as blessed for that. I can't wait for it. I love that they're actually incorporating a lot more features that we're seeing in other games as well, right? So we have the coach slot that's going to be coming in. So that's going to be such a valuable tool for teams when they're going through their scrims, for their coaches to be able to just go through and check out every single POV throughout. So that's just such a strong tool that'll come in that really just raises the bar in terms of the skill cap for our team. So I'm really excited about the changes for season 2.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And also, just as a reminder for everybody, of course, out there, the Gundam Evolution Showdown is happening in the official tournament. So you, of course, can sign up for that. I'm, of course, going to be watching that and rooting for every team that's been playing in these tournaments. We're all crew together. We're all learning together. So I'm going to be rooting for everybody. But here we go. Our second winners semifinals match of the day. We're going to see what the first picks and bans that come in are. Are we going to see, okay, Thorough Plant immediately banned, not a map that we've seen banned so far. I wonder if we're going to see some more open maps this time, or if we're going to return to that Mountain R&D Lab.
Yeah, I mean, Mountain R&D so far has been our favored map. We've seen it in 2 matches. Ministry of Defense getting no love whatsoever once again. Very similar to what we had during Halloween Havoc. Now it all comes down to the pick. Where are we going for our first map? Is this going to be another 2-0? And well, no surprises there. It's going to be Mountain R&D Lab for our first map for this set.
Yeah, I guess this is the new, we saw with Flak Fort last time. This is going to be the new kind of first map going on here. We've seen it now every single set. But the question is, are we going to see, well, we can't really see another domination map, but what are we going to see again? We're probably not going to see Harbor City. I feel like that's a really rare pick that we are seeing from a few players. But finally, we're going back to Flak Fort, the other map that we saw so many times in Halloween Havoc. And it is one of my favorite maps, quite honest, especially to watch. You do get to see that team coordination. Of course, we see so much Mountain R&D Lab. I almost feel like we don't have to talk about it quite as much, but I'm excited to go back to Flak Fort for the second game.
I do love it. Just again, because it's a good measure of how strong teams are on their defensive side, right? On point A, teams generally will give that up after about 1 or 2 fights. That run back seems so long, and it's just basically a straight shot for the offense if they need to resupply and get more players back on in, right? And so if they can hold it well, and we have seen a few teams being able to full hold on point A before, that's a really good sign for their overall play style and their play level. But Mountain R&D, when it comes to these destruction maps, it is basically just going to come down to who's better at team fighting at this point. And we've seen some different looks coming out from different squads, right? I mean, one squad that we weren't expecting to go for that turn A Gundam ended up going for the turn A Gundam in our last match.
Yeah, and it worked out extremely well. Definitely in contention for my play of the tournament already. We got my play of the tournament on day 1 of Halloween Havoc, so we might get the same thing here with that turn A G maneuver that was just so good, but there's still plenty of time, of course. And of course, we're going to have a day 2 as well. But this time around, I'm really curious, again, what we're going to see. We did see from TEKKA, this is the only team that we've seen so far previously on broadcast that we're going to be seeing again. So I do expect them to go pretty much the same route that we saw before. We saw them, of course, the double domination map, and they just stuck with their guns. They stuck with their usual, like, kind of Sazabi and Exia and Pale Rider and just the usuals. Got a lot of Gundam Unicorn, which makes a lot of sense, of course, on the domination maps. We might not get a chance to see, we'll at least see on Flak Fort if they switch, but probably going to be the same there all around. But Bork, like I said, they're a very, very strong team. I think they actually had an overlapping tournament in the last time, so that just kind of goes to show how coordinated of a team they are. They play in a lot of tournaments for a lot of games together, and I believe they got second in the Pilot Showdown and third in the EGL tournament, or maybe it was second as well. I don't know. My memory's gone, and these happened a whole 2 months ago, and I can no longer remember that long. But regardless, I think they were in the top 3 of both at minimum.
Yeah, so TEKKA are going to have their work cut out for them. I don't know. I don't expect this match at all to go just 2 maps. Hopefully this one goes to 3. Hopefully this one goes to 3 because I want to see as much as possible before we head into the grand finals or the winners finals and our lower bracket here. Really only getting 2 maps to try and get a good measure of teams. It's not the most effective way to really be able to measure their basically play level at this point. So hopefully we can go to all 3. Hopefully we get to see some different maps as well. I mean, like I said, I love Mountain R&D and I love Flak Fort, but I want to see a little bit more out of our squads when it comes to basically our map pool right now. It's down to 7 maps. It's not the usual 9 that you have in regular, in casual and competitive play. And so our teams do get to kind of like hyper focus on these 7, but again, so many of them just play so differently.
Yeah, and I love seeing more of like what the teams can do, but I also love seeing what the teams can do on different game types and different strategies and different lengths of maps. We haven't had a single destruction so far, a single destruction mission, which is we saw, I would say, not a ton the last time. It's definitely been mostly point capture and domination, even within Halloween Havoc, within Pilot Showdown, but overall, this is still it's not an uncommon game type, right? It's not like people are like, oh, I just hate destruction or anything. It just happens to be that we've seen so many dominations this time around that we haven't had a chance to even go over there. So I would love to see like at least one game type from each of these teams as the day goes on. We'll see if they do though. It seems like it's just interesting because we see the meta shift as far as maps. I thought it was going to be because of like a meta shift with suits and Zaku 2 melee being back, but it's not that at all. People just are that much more confident in domination this time around.
And I think when you have the level of Pale Rider players, you really do want to kind of build around that composition. I mean, Pale Rider, just because of the consistent damage it's able to put down, you want to really be able to secure that spot and then play around it. And so I like that you have the Sazabi for it. You have the Unicorn to try and play a little bit more death ball as well. But the Dom itself, it's not just a support. It is a damage dealer. It's honestly one of the best duelists when it comes to these games. And that's why I think you're not seeing as many flankers. You're not seeing as many of the triple melee compositions right now, just because if you try to go for the flank, the Dom can answer it in kind, along with the Ashmar. Ashmar is also a really high burst duelist himself. So I guess at this point, I am no longer surprised why we are still sticking with this Pale Rider core composition.
Mm-hmm. I would like to see it still be. I would like to see some changes attempted at least, but I do get it. I do get it for sure. But yeah, Sazabi. I mean, the biggest thing for me is that every team has an answer to Sazabi, right? And I think so many of the Exias now are so excellent at Exia that they are almost an answer within themselves. And the team no longer has to be like, well, we need a Zaku 2 melee to just cut through that Sazabi, because the Exia can sit outside of that shotgun range. It can dash attack in. But we'll see if these teams have the same feeling. If they're going to switch things up, looks like we're getting into our winners semifinals match. And no, that can't be real. All right, it's an exciting lineup right there, but they're still picking. I think they're just getting in. Although, as much as I'd like to see the okay, there's the Mahiru's gone, and yeah, we're gonna get a little bit more normal. Although I am a little bit surprised that we are going to see. Oh wait, maybe not the Methis. Ooh, maybe a disconnect. We'll see.
Oh boy, very unfortunate. But I think at this point, because it's so early on, hopefully we can get a call, maybe get a restart. Because definitely don't want to start off like this. And so hopefully our competitors do call it, just get the restart here. Very unfortunate that they ended up losing out on 2. We don't even have. We're going to be getting match pauses, I believe, in season 2 as well. So again, another great addition that'll be coming in. For right now, we are making do with the tools that we currently have available to us.
Yeah, and let's be thankful that this is the Gundam's Grace here. Let's be thankful that that match was at least crashed before it started, like literally like 3 seconds before it started. But that's a very important 3 seconds. The teams didn't get to see each other's rosters. They didn't get to actually start their the entire thing. So could be a lot worse. And yeah, let's be also thankful that, like you said, we're getting match pauses, we're getting the coach slots, we're getting the spectator. That's all really, really good news. And I'm super excited to like explore that when it comes out in just a few days. But we can talk a little bit about what we saw as far as starting rosters there. We did see before the crash, at least we saw the pick over the Methis, which you were mentioning. Methis is so good on Mountain R&D at taking that high ground, and assisting like the Ashimar and being able to get those little angles kind of up to the high ground, setting the turrets in some sneaky spots. So I'm surprised that we haven't seen any Methis at all today. It's been a lot of Gundam Unicorn, but I do like that we're seeing that out of Bork.
Yeah, I mean, trying to utilize like the armor that comes out from the Unicorn and the Dom is all well and good, but you have to realize that when you play for that high ground, you basically only have access to one health pack, which is the one that's behind you. Or if you want to try and make the run for it, the one that's on the low ground. But of course, if you go for that lower ground health pack, that means you are giving up the height. So having that Methis for a single target heal, especially onto your tank, onto your Sazabi, and try to focus him and keep him topped off, allows you to play that neutral a little bit more aggressively. But again, I feel like the Unicorn and the Dom armor gun is going to be enough to really keep them topped off. If you haven't won the neutral and you haven't been able to push and maintain that high ground after those cooldowns, or at least the armor gun cooldown is used, something's going wrong there. Someone needs to be dishing out a little bit more damage. There needs to be more focus fires. So I think that's more of a playstyle shift instead of necessitating a compositional shift.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love the fact that we do see such a, I mean, it depends on the map, of course, but we do see a good amount of switching between Methis and Unicorn, usually as like more of like the support role picks, and it can go really both ways. I like the fact that it's not just like one set in stone all the time, and sometimes we see teams that go for completely no support. I feel like that's a really cool kind of aspect to this game, that it's not going to be like one particular hard locked, hard healing support. It allows a lot of flexibility as far as like how confident you are with your team and what kind of damage they're going to be taking and in what area they're going to be taking damage. And it's I don't know, I just really like it a lot. We get to see it a lot from these teams. I think it was Team Gundam Unicorn last time that, ironically to the name, they used no healers. They used no support at all. They didn't run Gundam Unicorn, which is a lie. I'm going to call them out on that. You can't be named Gundam Unicorn, not run it. And they didn't run Methis. They just ran the Gundam instead. Just I don't know, it's an interesting strategy. It worked out really well for them. They almost won the tournament, but it means that there is that level of flexibility even within like a pretty established meta.
Yeah, I mean, also one thing we have to note is that the Pale Rider does come in for a lot of heals as well, which is why they are targeting that in particular instead of the damage aspect. They realized, hey, he should be good at only one thing, not both. Having one of the highest heals, I believe, even in Diamond Plus ranked. So they are cutting that one down. I believe it's the overall healing duration and the heals per second that will be going down for that one. And I completely agree with it. It shouldn't just be able to top off an entire team every 13, 15, or however many seconds it is. So I like that they're targeting that instead of the damage. It kind of cuts down on its utility, even though it did receive a slight buff as well, I believe, in the last patch to its EMP grenade, which is still something that's not as largely used.
Yeah, we see some of the really good Pale Riders use it like against maybe like Exias when they think that the Exia is like right around the corner. They'll just use it in spots where they don't actually have line of sight to anybody, just to kind of like hit around the corner before they push. But yeah, it's definitely not a key part of the kit. And yeah, that heal is pretty ridiculous for sure. And we saw a lot of that being used very, very well by a lot of the teams in the previous months. But it'll still be, I mean, it's still wild that it's like one of the highest DPS units, and it is going to have an AoE heal that only heals you. That's pretty impressive as far as the suit goes. So I'm sure that'll still be a very good suit, even with the nerfs going in, as we have seen Pale Rider in pretty much every single team today, as far as I can remember. We might have seen some weird switches off. I don't know. We saw some strange comp switches for just like a few moments in the rounds, but overall, Pale Rider, I mean, it's nice though, I think, to have that kind of like level of like a solid, like this is your solid DPS pick. They're going to be really good at fighting at like, you know, most ranges, so you can't like just get caught by surprise by like flyers or by you know, people who are a little bit further away or people who are really close. Like, you're not going to have that really big weakness as long as you have a Pale Rider. But it's I mean, hey, it's really good, and it's showing up very strongly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good multi-tool, right? It provides offense, it provides defense as well, and just consistent damage. I think that's the most important part, being able to get consistent damage across in this game where heals overall are very limited. You have to really play around health packs, and so there are openings and windows that you can really punish teams as long as you're dishing out that consistent damage. And then, of course, kind of setting up the Exias. That's why we're seeing it, right? We have the burst coming out from the Exia along with the consistent damage from that Pale Rider. And that's why they are basically our core duo when it comes to DPS. The Ashmar really filling out and helping out, dishing out the extra damage along with the Dom. That's what I love about this game right now. That, like you said, supports aren't hard luck. You're not just a heal bot. You're not just a damage boost bot. Right, in this game, you have to be able to aim as well when it comes to playing support. And support just really honestly just feels like more utility than anything else. It's not the additional healing. You're just going for the extra utility, which is why Dom is so good. Being able to get that extra burst damage, being the nice duelist in case a backliner comes in, controlling a space as well with the mines, and having that huge streaming Nimbus, which we got to see in all of our matches today, become such a huge G maneuver that you can just win a team fight with one. But it's not like, you know, it's not the large heat axe of the Zakutu melee, right? Your team still has to follow up with it. The screaming Nimbus itself doesn't win it out. It's a tool for your team to utilize to win a fight.
Yeah, I know I always go back to my my ranked escapades, but I gotta say, like, Screaming Nimbus is easily one of the best like competitive, like coordinated G maneuvers in the entire game, right? Free. Like it enables pushes, it pushes you know, it enables pushes on offense, on defense, it pushes everybody off the points, it splits teams up, it stuns people, you can knock them off of, you know, ledges or into the water on certain maps. But if you have nobody to follow up, you just sit there and you just run around in a circle, and the whole team's like, huh, why is that person sitting there? And then you just die as you get out. And I definitely have had that happen far too many times. So it is not the best. I mean, it still have a lot of impact, of course, but it just hurts when you're like, you see these teams and you're like, wow, this really has so much impact. One of the best G maneuvers as far as just team play. But then you go in and you're like, oh, well, I tried. I did my best.
Yeah, again, I think there was a reason why when I initially started playing the game in beta that I just immediately fell in love with Dom. Like a lot of times when it comes to swapping games for me, it's just like I understand a lot of people are going to want to play DPS. I get it, right? So I'll just play the support role. And the first support I ended up picking up, I stayed away from Methus because I thought, you know, too much like Mercy. I don't want to be a heal bot. And so Dom was the first mobile suit that I ended up picking up. Eventually, I did learn how to play Methus myself, and I think Methus itself is also incredibly strong. I think maybe the energy cable could use a slight buff overall, but Dom, with its overall utility, with its ability to duel, I just instantly fell in love with that unit. And of course, coming back, like Dom itself, just it's a completely nostalgic mobile suit for me because, yeah, watching all the original Gundams way back in the day, I just love the design of it. Honestly, everything from Xeon, like even though there's like some sort of weird alienish look to all the mobile suit units, Dom just looked the coolest. So it had this weird movement where it's like floating around, and you would always see them, of course, like roaming around in like threes and stuff like we have in the play of the games or MVP screens and stuff like that. And it's just such a super cool unit.
Yeah, can we talk about how well they implemented the like glidiness, the like floatiness of Dom in this game? It's so cool. Like it's a really unique like level of mobility, like holding on to that momentum and sliding slightly. And I feel like if it was done wrong, it could have been really annoying. But also during the beta, I ended up playing, well, for the first half of I think the beta or the network test, I played Dom because I was like, wow, this feels really cool, like being able to slide around like this and hold on to momentum. Then I played Zakutu ranged because also mobility was really fun. But yeah, I think it's really cool how they like made it and gave it one dash, which is obviously that can be like a real downside, but you have to use your extra momentum for things. And it's just, I think it's one of the coolest designs, like within its like support, its utility, and its damage, and the fact that it's like a big projectile, you know, rocket damage dealer. I love a lot of the designs in this game, and Dom is for sure one of them. Hopefully we are getting these players back into the lobby pretty soon. I know we did, of course, for anybody who is tuning in and wondering why we're talking so long, we did just, of course, have a crash right before the match started. We are having Team TEKKA versus Bork, Team Bork, as we are going into the winners semifinals to see who is going to be going up against Team Sucky Vacuums in the winners finals. But we had a little bit of a crash. One of the players DC'd or crashed 3 seconds before the match started, and now we're trying to get them all back in. So it looks like one of the players is doing a full restart. I'm seeing in the chat right now. So hopefully we can get them back in all soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing like, who was it? From, I believe, Team Bozos, where they were constantly playing as was it Spoo?
It was, yeah.
I remember Spoo, who almost every single match, except for when we went 5 maps in the grand finals, who didn't disconnect once, but in every single series leading up to it, they ended up getting DC'd, having some ISP issues. We do have a quick video segment, though, that we're going to throw it on over to while we try and get this issue resolved. So let's go ahead and check that out. But it looks like they will actually get caught. That's going to be one going down. One more, possibly. It is the Ashmar falling in. Oh no, Casino was caught off guard too. So now only 3 members up, but they're in the middle of the rest of the team here. It's going to be a full 6-man. Oh, you gotta be careful. You've got the energy cable, you got the repair cable, along with the heal being used early on. Hades will get popped. They're not actually using the Methasol. They don't have it, or they might have actually popped it onto someone else as they charge forward. Now Ashmar punch being utilized as well, and the screaming Nimbus, everything being used from the defense here. They were trying to play for that drop down to respond to either a point A or point B push, but now here's a concerted effort coming out from Minarizaki, but they're not even going to be able to make it over to that waypoint. They already cleaned up. Transam, I believe, might have been used here. We do have the Unicorn ultimate going down, picking up 2, and now that's going to be the clean line. You can see they're trying to measure the defensive push, and now they end up losing out on their Sazabi, but the Hades has been used from the defensive side. They're at least bleeding out some of the ultimates, and with the time advantage that they had on point A, that's actually kind of good for them. Bleeding out 2 ultimates. Nimbus, they've got the Hades along with Transam to play off of here, and put the initial pick onto Batty, and there's the screaming Nimbus coming on in. They want to play off of this to just create some space, allow their team to come on in, maybe even pick up 3 there for Casino on the Dom.
I was talking about the on point, 23 seconds left. They do have the mobility to seek somebody behind, but I don't know if they want to use that right away and split their team up. But this is the turret, got 2 kills. The turret got 2 kills from Memphis.
Yeah, set up though expertly by that Ashmar punch, who was just waiting around the corner that entire time. You get once you capture the points. Turn A Gundam has his butterfly ready to go, but he doesn't need to quite use it. We'll go ahead just in case. He'll have time try and build that one up as he clears out 2. They find 2 more picks here, so they're not going to risk anything at all whatsoever. They've got the huge man advantage, and now he gets one last over.
Right, there's 4 minutes left. That is a huge amount of time, and all they need to do is just get 2 more ticks. But that's one thing that I really like about Guntank, right? Gun on Exia makes Exia so hard to kill. Already it's a slippery target, but giving it that extra health that's it's already a high percentage of its health that it's getting extra. It becomes like this 2-man just killing squad. It's ridiculous, but that was a nice chunk directly on the leg.
back, he will have that faster charge to try and knock them back. It worked with that Ashmar punch, but instead just the presence alone. Trans Am has been used. They find two. Listic has gone down. They need to get a man on the point now, and somehow Powerpuff Girls keep this alive.
They have to fall back. The XA uses Trans Am on the offensive side, but unfortunately he will fall to Nico, in which popped his own Trans Am, gets two, and now the offensive side with 25 seconds left, it's looking pretty scary for them on Harbor.
You have to put yourself into potentially being sniped out when you go for the repairs. You can see them start to just try and move forward. Max 94% to the ultimate. The Dreams comes in with the crash, and it's absolutely wrecking his opponents.
The defense side, but Calvin trades back X-Ray once more. On the other side, Red has got X-Ray again. He's killed them 3 times, but the Resurrect has been there every single time. And now the Barbados is in on his face. Illusion goes down to Dreams, and the offense is thwarted here. Kyler gets the Resurrect onto Glitch as well.
It's the mix, and there's no ultimate on the side of Bork. They're done for.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, they have to run down. Oh my god, this Pale Rider ultimate on the other side. He's just shredding everybody on the defense, or on the offense rather. 1 second left, extra overtime goes down. Alrenet comes through onto X-Ray. The time is ticking down. It's just him on this point. It doesn't look like he's going to do anything here.
Hit those melees.
Yeah, he's going to have to go hard right now, but Cocky got 2. X-Ray with a huge rocket with the 2K, and they can actually get the capture point off of this as well, as they just need to hit a couple more shots to get a full team wipe. The X is back, gets the stun, but it's just going to... This has used his boost, what I'd assume to be is the Zaku ranged, and it's just Glitch on this point with that ultimate, but no! Dream with a huge ultimate stops the Sazabi in its tracks, and nobody else at Bork Gundam can actually delay this point.
Hacking team to be able to get on top of them sooner.
Sniper vs sniper in the main of the objective here. Payan does get Stolly. Carl Sagan gets Kyler, but the headshot comes through into Legacy. Nice shots from Dream. Does take him down, but the 8 point is now under contest, and Dream hits those shots. Once more, he gets slick. So that's 2 down, but is that enough to really hold this point? Has to jump pad over the top side.
Does go down to the methods of Coop, as we can see Dreams on that Ashmore just trying to go in super deep to be able to buy themselves the space to go for that plan on towards B. They've been able to get it, but it is going to be Nico with the G maneuver. The Hades coming through from the Pale Rider. Brute force through this funnel choke. They're going to have nothing so when the faster respawns come through from the defense, so it can't be a full dump, and it's going to be so much committed.
It's Carl Sagan again. 3K before he goes down, traded out in the back line, but what a huge ultimate from the Zaku 2 melee of Team Vacuum's team.
Get stunned through, and it is now going to be just absolute...
Carl Sagan! Carl Sagan!
Carl Sagan coming in with the absolute clutch Zaku 2 melee G maneuver.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Gundam's Grace. We do have the match that is getting started. Thankfully, all of the technical issues have been fixed, and I think these players have waited long enough, so let's get them going. I'm excited to see this match finally started. We got to see just a little preview of what they were going to be running. Of course, as a reminder, we are in the winners semifinals. This is going to be Team Bork versus Team TEKKA, and we are on Mountain R&D Lab for the first game, and second game is Flak Fort? I actually forget. Wait, what did they pick for second?
Yeah. I believe it was Flak Fort. Really excited about that one. We were talking about it at length, I believe. We did have some weird bug that was going on in the lobby. So thank you all so much for your patience while we were getting that one sorted out. But here we go. We are getting started. It's going to be starting on point A for this iteration. And our first iteration is actually going to start on point B. And I was really excited for that one. But it's going to come down to the neutral play. We've got the Methus along with the RX-78 coming in. So they're going to have that single target healing, but they don't have a Sazabi. So it's going to be interesting to play around. Hopefully they can dish out the damage to deal with this right now. But you can see that Methus doing a lot of damage with that flame. Unfortunately, though, it's not going to be enough as they charge on forward. D ends up picking up 2, and they will be able to force them back and now secure the point for themselves.
Wow, what a strong start. Yeah, you know, you said they don't have a Sazabi, and then right as you said that, the other team suddenly didn't have a Sazabi for a different reason, as it got just immediately melted. But we do see, yeah, such a strong push from an interesting team, like you said, not using Sazabi. On the other side, we are going to have a pretty core unit, a pretty core set of suits as we expect, but they're going to need to get another push. The Exia versus Exia duel, and that Exia is just not going down. Oh, finally getting it, but that will be a trade. Did manage to finish off the suit on the other side, and right now TEKKA is just not alive at all. They've got like one suit out there, not finding the push.
Yeah, and honestly, like if you could just take out the Sazabi, take out the shield with that Hyper Hammer, that's the value gained. We didn't get to see PPG, I believe, able to get that same kind of value when they were trying to fight for that. But right now, you can see the Exia now going in for the flanking route. There's 17 seconds left on to this point, and it looks like they will get the full 46% here on point A before we swap on over to point C. So it's going to be more of the same. Now TEKKA needs to find an opening here. They need to figure out what to do up against this composition.
Yeah, this was a very, very strong start, a very dominant start, and they are going to be, you know, throwing some pot shots over the walls at the point. But again, so much of this comes down to which teams can successfully push. Oh, are they going to be able to destroy it? No, not quite in time. But oh, we saw this Sazabi jump over it, and it didn't quite work. But this the punch from the side, and this is a very aggressive hold with almost a full team wipe.
Yeah, and that's going to be point C unlocking in. Team Bork Gundam just taking that easily. So will they be able to get the full 90% before we swap back on over to point A? What do they have on the other side for the defense? We do have 2 G maneuvers up now. It's going to be the Hades along with that Screaming Nimbus and even the Trans Am available for them. But honestly, they should just be able to win this one out with any single one of those G maneuvers for themselves.
Yeah, this is just such a good spot to hold. Yeah, it looks like, again, the Sazabi is going down instantly. We're going to see the Gundam Unicorn potentially going down, and we are just seeing so much damage coming out of this Pale Rider with the 17 streak, but that's a good way to end that streak. We got the Trans Am, however, I don't know if there's going to be enough on the other side to follow that up, and we even get the res. That Trans Am going down in a moment that it was really important. I think maybe could have been held out a little bit longer, or maybe it was popped and then just the entire team went down. It's very unfortunate.
And was that just a complete dry fight coming out from Bork? I don't believe they used any G maneuvers in that one. So that's a strong statement to be made. And now, as they secure 93%, the point will be swapping on over once again to point A. But Bork have already made their transition. They're already pushing aggressively onto them. Regalia has gone down. There's a second one. Escape falls. Now with only 4 members remaining, the RX-78-2 ultimate going out. It won't get them value, but it does buy them a little bit more space there. They do end up losing out on their Methus as Strife does get healed back on up. The Hyper Hammer just narrowly missing. They find one more knock. Will that be the final opening? No, there's another finish. As from long range, the RX-78 is able to get that kill, and they can't even go for the rest. They have to go for the point.
Oh, yeah, there's just not enough time. They are going to have the high ground, but standing on point to try and contest and get a little bit of overtime can be such a dangerous position. You can see that. Somebody got super lit trying to go for it. That just needs one person on the point. They're not going to find it. They had it for a moment, but like I said, if there's still people left, it is nearly impossible to retake one of those points without just getting completely destroyed from the sides. And that was a perfect round on the side of Bork. What a match so far.
Yeah, and honestly, they were the squad that was going Sazabi-less, and so they were doing a great job playing around it. They were staying spread apart, and you can see how much the damage differential there is, right? When you have that RX-72, it basically negates the Sazabi shield, and so that's another 1200 HP that you don't have to chew through. It's just the additional damage that you're able to put out, along with that Methus pick coming out from them. Even though Gundam Unicorn has extremely high DPS, so does the Methus, really, that a lot of times people can underestimate the damage that the Methus can put out.
Oh yeah, it can do so much damage, especially too the fact that you have 2 flyers with these pretty strong AoEs on a map like this where everybody's pushing up together. That can do so much with the like alternate fire really from both of those suits, both of the transforming suits, Methus and Ashamar. But this has been so interesting. I mean, we see Red Protocol, a very strong Sazabi player, but just melting instantly in almost every single fight. It's an interesting strategy, just solo target it, try to get out of the way. We've seen some Hyper Hammers hit, but we've seen Bork just so good at coordinating that damage.
He tries to take that 1v1, but he ends up losing out there. And so now, this time around, it's going to be Bork Gundam actually getting the first picks. And as that point B unlocks, they should be able to secure a little bit of it as soon as they finish off this Exia. That's Exponent going down. So that's going to be a nice little pickup for them. And they will start it off with the first ticks.
Yeah, this is, I see Red Protocol there. This is TEKKA just holding this B in the perfect way. And that, I think, it's partially, in fact, to their team comp. But wow, they get picked. That's the problem. I was going to say the team comp, but they're not hiding behind the Sazabi. I think maybe they're getting flanked a little bit. This is looking like a really great push now on the side of Bork. Just managing to split up their team and go through 2 different directions. That's why it can be very hard to hold a forward position on point B right here.
Still, though, no one able to get onto position there, and so now it's going to be continually ticking up for Team TEKKA right now. As Bork, they will try and reestablish themselves. It does look like they're trying to find a flank. Someone was trying to get an angle, the Ashmar player actually coming in. We've got our first sightings, though, of the Zaku 2 melee coming on in, and that's going to be courtesy of Strifey charging in with the axes, trying to hunt down one. That's going to be a Dom actually backing away, and the Rage Armor has been utilized there. He's got the healing of the repair cables as well as he tries to chase down this Pale Rider, but he's taking so much damage, and somehow the Pale Rider gets out alive. While the rest of the team, though, still putting in work, finishing off 3.
Yeah, but, you know, the Zaku 2 built a ton of rage, managed to survive, got the health pack, managed to push entirely off position. I do have to say how funny this is, though. The moment that we saw the switch to the Zaku 2 melee, we also saw the switch off of the Sazabi. So maybe that's the entire point of the Zaku 2 melee, and it hasn't actually come to fruition. But here we go, gonna absorb a lot, gonna be at full rage, and this is where it gets very scary with those huge chunks in the middle, but wow, instantly melted.
And they back away from that fight. They don't give him the space that he really wants to play off of, as now the push to the back line comes through. Regalia, we'll see how much more he can get, but now this Zaku 2 needs to find some value. He's only at 62% towards that G maneuver. Might come up at a crucial time, but for TEKKA Clan, they're trying to tie things, for Team Bork, they're trying to finish things off strong here. As right now, you can see the Exia getting a little value, trying to pick them apart. Nice little dash on in, but he's not able to finish him off, and he will go down.
Yeah, that is not a great position to be in against that level of that many people all in a row. And we are seeing now just such a good position to hold. Oh my gosh, just almost within the base. You didn't quite make it back to safety. But yeah, this is such a good spot to hold forward. We see this a lot. And one of the interesting things about holding so far forward in this position is that you actually get to steal your opponent's health pack. Their really strong health pack right at that wall near their spawn. That becomes your health pack. And that's very useful.
Now Bork just 17% away from walking away with this first map. They do have the Ashmar punch actually dodged out, and now Red Protocol will end up falling as the Ashmar will just run, tuck tail behind, and try and maybe find another fight. Again, it's going to be point C unlocking, and they just haven't been able to find an opening whatsoever when it comes to these outside points. Team TEKKA Clan really struggling here in this regard as they're going to go ahead and push out. They've got 3 G maneuvers activated here, but will they be able to get any value? They might even buy enough time for a 4th G maneuver in that large Heat Hawk slash, but they lost out on 2. Regalia and Red Protocol going down, and it looks like Team Bork are about to get the easy 2-0 here on Mountain R&D.
Yeah, pretty clean sweep here. TEKKA found that really nice early fight, but then just wasn't able to fully take advantage of it. And look at how far forward at least this Exi is holding, but that's what they've been doing the entire time. And we are going to see an attempt to sneak over. It never works. It never, ever works. I mean, I get the idea, right? You got to actually just get on point no matter what. And if you don't try, you lose. But we're just going to see them kind of flopping in and just not managing to get any real damage. Oh, we did see an attempt right there, but that is going to be, like you said, a clean 2-0. Despite that first early team wipe on the side of TEKKA, it was looking really good, and then immediately we saw the switches. And I wonder if the Gundam, or sorry, I keep calling it Gundam 2 for some reason. The Zaku 2 melee made a difference.
Yeah, and this is so incredible because we saw like teams when they try to run Sazabi lists, sometimes you can really go to bite them in the back, but having the option, having that hyper hammer there ready to deal with it, we know all from casual and from ranked play that the hyper hammer is incredibly strong in dealing with the Sazabi and dealing with that shield, and they were able to neutralize that one extremely effectively, so much so that, you know, on the other side for Team TEKKA, they were like, okay, maybe we don't try to run the Sazabi at all, and we try to answer DPS or DPS. It really did kind of feel like a little bit more of casual play, right? And in the lower ranks as well, in ranked, where it's just everyone wants to play DPS, and you can see why. There's just so much damage that can be put out.
Yeah, you know, on any map, though, I could definitely see it here. We see a lot of spots where the Sazabi is really strong on this map, but it can also be flanked, right? If your opponent's team is really, really good at getting around it, and they have so much anti-Sazabi stuff like the RX-78 and the Hyper Hammers, then I could definitely see this being one of the maps where you kind of go a little bit wild, and it looked like Bork was really confident to do that from the get-go, right? Not having the Sazabi. It was really interesting seeing that we saw like kind of the switches midway through. I'm curious what would have happened if it had been a little bit earlier on the switch to the Zaku 2 melee, but I guess we'll not quite get a chance to see that as we're going to be moving to a larger map. But still, this is such a good showing already just from map number 1 of how strong of a team Bork is, even though we didn't get a chance to see them in the Halloween Havoc.
And I think this was just a really good display of why it's so difficult to play flankers, right? We got to see a little bit earlier on when we saw the Zaku 2 ranged coming out, that teams are ready to respond to it instantly. Whenever you try to go in, find an opening, they get spotted out and they get focused down. The only reason why that Exia is able to do what it does is because, well, first, a lot of our Exia players are some of the best Exia players in the world right now, but also he has a lot more mobility than the other units currently have. He's got the vertical mobility as well that a lot of them are lacking right now. Having the 3 dashes along with the 2 additional ones essentially in the kit, it just allows them to survive a little bit longer, and it has a smaller hitbox. So even though, you know, all of our players are extremely proficient at aiming, it's still one of the smallest units right now in the game, and so its survivability is incredibly high. So Exia still stand out, one of the best flankers, but he doesn't play like a flanker right now. He just pokes and prods. It's not the one like the full committal that you kind of need to play when you're on a Zaku 2 range, because really, if you want to be able to kill anything, you need to be in someone's face as a Zaku 2's ranged. As an Exia, you just need to kind of pull them back, and you can do that without the damage drop off on your daggers.
I know, it's really funny that you take a look at like what they're actually called, and it's Zaku 2 ranged, but it's actually one of the closest range suits in the entire game. It is like more melee than most of the other melee. Like you can do more damage from a mid range with Zaku 2 melee than you can with Zaku 2 range, which is pretty funny. Of course, the damage can absolutely melt people if you are really good with Zaku 2 ranged, but it really is in its own weird way a true melee suit. And on the other hand, Exia, which is very, very melee based, like it uses a lot of weapons, actually is in its own weird way. Okay, I mean, don't take this wrong, but in its own weird way, it's like one of the strongest sniper weapons in the game, right? Like you can actually chunk people from literally any distance, and it can play effectively from so many different distances. It doesn't have to be a flanker, it doesn't have to be in melee range. So it's really funny to kind of like look at the difference between those two, and you're like, they're kind of backwards in a way, but I mean, I do like the designs of them all, of course, and we are going to see a few balance changes on both of those to make Zaku 2 range a little bit stronger, and Exia I think a little bit weaker. I think got some buff on something though. Oh, it's the mid transam dash attack, I think, or the F. I can't remember, but one of its melee moves got a recovery reduced. So we're going to see some changes regardless. I totally agree with you. That's why we don't see Zaku 2 range as much, and Exia is free to live its best life on any map in this game.
I'm glad they actually at least addressed it. They said, a lot of the community feedback is that we want to touch, or you should touch the damage attenuation when it comes to the range of Exia. But for right now, we're just going to keep an eye on it. We're going to touch other parts of its kits first before we try and touch that part. But I honestly do think that the fix would be if there's at least some damage drop off to those daggers at range, because again, the primary fire, like you said, if you're hitting the triple dinks, you're doing so much damage. The secondary fire as well does tons of damage. So he has that option to play far range. He has the option to play close range. And of course, he has an amazing burst along with just survivability and mobility. So we'll see if he does get touched. I mean, no surprises whatsoever that of the really deathball-y mobile suits that are usually played, he is the one that survives because of it is basically coming down to the survivability, right? I mean, even though Barbados has one-shot capability here, that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for a constant contributor in team fights, and that's what Exia excels at.
Yeah, it really can. No matter how much you have to reposition. I'm interested, of course, though, to see the non-Sazabi team. Just to switch gears a little bit. It was really interesting to see that. I do know that for a while, I haven't kept up with the entire Japanese scene quite as well recently. I've been a little bit busy and haven't been able to be up at the times to see a lot of what they've been doing. But I know a lot of the Japanese players and Japanese strong teams were not fans of Sazabi for a while. So I don't know if that's changed or not. But it is interesting to see a style that is maybe a little bit more like that, or maybe has evolved to be similar to that in general. And again, we're going to Flak Fort. This is going to be, I want to say, the most mid-range of any of the maps that we've seen so far. Because we've only seen basically domination maps and Harbor today, and Harbor, of course, is a very polarizing map in the opposite direction. So this is going to be the first time that we're going to see kind of just like a normal mid-range-ish map, and I'm interested to see the team comps and the styles, as I've said before.
I mean, a lot of the geography of the map outside of the initial bridge on point A, they do create for those mid-level or mid-distance sight lines. And teams don't even play on the bridge anymore for the most part, other than chasing down the offense after they get a team fight win on point B as a defensive side. So even though in your casual matches, you're going to see a lot of gym snipers getting picked up for that first offensive side, it does not seem to be something that teams are even considering here. Almost every defensive team plays inside of point A. They maintain that high ground for their Pale Rider, and we know exactly why. Our Pale Rider players are absolutely insane. So again, you play around them, you build a composition around them, you make sure that they can succeed. And so we're going to be seeing, again, a lot more of that mid-level play. I could still see the RX-78-2 coming out here in favor of the Sazabi again, because like you said, or like we were talking about, the mid-level distances, it's basically well within the damage drop-off range of the RX-78-2.
All right, well, it does look like on defense first, we are going to have Team TEKKA, and they are going to be sticking with mostly what they've been using. We are going to see the Methis over the Unicorn, which was one of the switches that they made before, but we're going to see the same core as usual of Ashamar, Dom. And okay, you're talking about seeing the snipers, and this is something we expected to see a lot last time, but we are maybe going to see it. It does look like they're just sitting here. Maybe they're just using the jump pad for funsies. There's 12 seconds left, but we've got potentially 2 snipers now on the side here, or if you count XC 3.
Yeah, if they go with the turn A, I would not be surprised if they stick with it. The gym sniper, I think it might just be an opening, just in case someone plays on bridge. Catch someone out like that, quite possibly on that rotate out. And the Ashmar, what are you doing? You got to be careful. You are so low now, as he does back away into that health pack, but at least a little bit of that is known. Now we'll see, though, if they want to stick with this gym sniper. I imagine if he doesn't get the initial opening, he will go ahead and swap on off. But having the turn A here can be incredibly strong for them. Lose out on Dark Infestor first, though, and that's going to be the heals. They're going to have to rely upon these health packs up top now. You can see that Pale Rider backing away, Dom in the thick of things, pushing forward. He's going to swap out for 1. But again, without that Mephis there for right now, they have to play off these heals, and that's what's going to keep him alive. But for the time being, it looks like the duel is going to go the other way as they push forward onto point A.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty nice hold, seemingly. They have, again, used that the top corner very, very well. There's a lot of really low suits, though. They're not able to quite take advantage of it. What was that? Was there somebody in there? I don't even know what that laser was quite aimed at. Yeah, it looks like they are going to, of course, circle around, try to get that recap, kind of. They just weren't quite able to close out a lot of these. There's plenty of time, though, of course, to attack A. And I wonder if giving up this position was good. I mean, I guess you don't want to get caught out of position, get staggered, so I kind of do like that. But here we go. We're going to see a huge push around the side on the ramp.
Yeah, and it's the swap off. They're no longer on that gym sniper. Nice snipe in with that laser, though. It's a 1-for-1 exchange. And now it's going to be a 2-for-2, but they might be able to get the res as well. Mephis with that cable is going to get a free one at this point, and now it looks like they have been able to crack open point A. The first stick about to come on in. You can see now the Dom is there controlling it for himself, but oh no, what a turnaround. The Exia coming in, taking out Moist there, and now they've got to be careful. The zombie is low. You can see why Dom is such a strong force on any composition.
Yeah, and the dueling Doms. I would honestly totally watch a 1v1 Dom tournament. Like, watching Dom's duel is just too fun. But right now we can definitely see which one won, and we are just still continuing to hold on to this point. We're going to get to 3 ticks. It looks like, oh, what a great dodge. Great dodge in the overhead grab.
Yeah, that turn A tries to get on in and pick him up. And that's actually pretty crucial because I don't believe that turn A has their ultimate yet, but the G maneuver can be so strong in breaking this choke point here. A lot of teams are going to try and play on that hill, but the turn A will have the free cover to play off of it, and he does not have his G maneuver. If he was able to get that overhead, he'd be so close to it. Right now, they've got the energy cable along with the Trans Am to utilize here. The first pick, though, goes on to their Ashmar, and unfortunately, they lose out on 1 more. So a nice defensive hold coming out now from Team TEKKA Clan as Bork is still answering back.
Oh, and you can just see these X's. Well, I was about to say these X's just live forever when they're good players, but of course, finally going down. But you could just see it was kind of just standing almost in the open, just using its mobility to become such a difficult target and just doing so much raw damage, you know, just dashing, attacking in when it can, throwing the daggers when it can. And there's a reason why this is such a strong suit. But here we go. They're kind of pushing back up. They're going to try another huge push, but the Screaming Nimbus coming out.
Yeah, it's a Screaming Nimbus for a Screaming Nimbus again. Once again, these Dom players know. I mean, whoever's the first Screaming Nimbus user, it looks like that team's going to end up losing out, but they ultimately are able to get that G maneuver for Bitey up. That turn A Gundam only gets 1 throughout all of this, but it's about securing that team fight win and finally breaking the hold on the hill here. And now they're going to try and establish themselves onto this high ground, allow their Pale Rider to really utilize that Hades. But unfortunately, Bless gets picked off, and you do not want to be losing out on your Ashmar this early. It's an Ashmar for an Ashmar, though, as now Bork Gundam, unfortunately, not able to get onto the point. They do actually pick up 1 tick here, and it's a fight for the high ground. You can see teams really valuing this position, but that means the defense ends up giving up 2 ticks.
Yeah, and here we go. We see actually the Mephis boosted Exia here, but not able to get anything as we see 2 picks from Bitey on the turn A, 3 picks now from Bitey on the turn A, and that might secure them the final spot. But this is a spot that is very, very easy to get a contest on if anybody's even within range, and A just went down at the perfect timing. You can see just a foot away from being able to contest. We very often see just one person get in and then another person get in, and that spawn can be very, very close, but that was a great job from Bork Gundam, and Bitey in particular just wiping the entire team at the end there, saying, you know what, I could use my G maneuver to wipe an entire team, or I could just shoot really well.
And that's the nice thing, right? You don't really have to worry about the damage drop off when it comes to that turn A. So at any range that you're fighting at, you're doing full damage. And if you get that charged up ADS fire in, you can, of course, get the collateral, get the penetration damage throughout. So Bitey just doing a great job on that turn A. It was a little bit tough goings at the beginning for him, but once he started going, it looks like they were able to really carry forward with that momentum, especially even utilizing the butterfly just to get that one last pick, just to make sure they break through here. That even though sometimes it might be like the sunk cost fallacy, hey, we use so many G maneuvers here, we might as well use one more. It did end up paying off for them. They were able to get themselves onto the point and have a good amount of time, I would say. Yeah, 3 minutes and 47 seconds after taking point B. So that's a huge, huge lead to be starting things off. Now it's going to be Team TEKKA on the offense, and we'll see. Again, it's the Suzabi-less composition for Bork that's still working out for them. Maybe Team TEKKA can try and replicate that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting overall to still see that being used. But I do got to say, before this round starts, that last push in the previous round was so good because they attacked the high ground and just left a few people on the bottom. And I really hope that we can see TEKKA kind of do that same push as well. But let's see now where Bork is going to be holding. It looks like there's a few random shots in. Yeah, they're going to be holding in the building. I like that. That's a common thing you see, just some random shots towards spawns that should build a little bit more G maneuver. But they are going to be holding the usual spot, a little bit lower maybe than usual. We are going to see a good amount of TEKKA push onto this left side ramp as usual, but it looks like there was already a pick. They did get the res, but they're a little bit split up. Their positioning not bad though.
Yeah, they lost out on that Exia though, and so that's going to be the flanking threat out, and the Methus does end up falling, and here is the finish. Methus v Methus, and again, these duels are so important here. Not picking up the unicorn for themselves, having that extra kind of death volley heal with the armor, but the defense will be able to hold this one, so it's going to come down to at least another push for TEKKA Clan to try and find their way on in. Again, it's about trying to find value with this Suzabi, but they really haven't been able to so far. You can see Exponent trying to get a little extra G maneuver built up for himself, and it might be the Ashmore that gets that first punch.
Yeah, you know, honestly, though, the interesting pick here still is the turn A, and that can be a really good counter to Sazabi in this particular spot, because there's a lot of blind corners you have to turn, pushing in with Sazabi on this map, on this point, and you can just get yeeted.
Yeah, and they've already picked up two. Again, that's going to be the Methus and Regalia going down. The Exias not able to get much here for their squad. The Methus res will not be there as they focus him down, but if you finish off the rest of the team, well, you don't have to worry about the run back, but here it is. The offense trying their best to get stabilized and try to make another push. We're now down to, what, about 3 minutes remaining here as Red Protocol ends up going down with the Suzabi. So another huge stagger, and honestly, I would say this is the biggest weakness right now that's coming out from TEKKA. They've been staggering across a lot of our maps today. They get punished off of it. They're going to try and push forward without the Suzabi, and you can see how much damage they take for it.
Yeah, they're taking a lot of damage just pushing up. You can already see as we do see the Exia going down and the punch to trade Ashmar for Ashmar. Wait a minute, this could be actually okay. Ashmar is going to get picked up on the side of TEKKA as they're pushing in, and it may be an opportunity to push. I'm not sure exactly who else went down aside from the Exia. Oh, wait, no, was it the other way around? Was it the, that might have been the Ashmar actually from Bork getting picked up. But wow, just knowing that the Sazabi was in there, and that can be a really tough spot. That might be a pick, yeah. You got to turn around. You got to try to at least use that shield. But against Exia, good luck with that. Doing actually not quite the full thing. Wasn't quite able to get the full combo off right there. Took a solid amount of damage from the shotgun. So just going to be staggering a little bit, which is good. I mean, that Sazabi maybe shouldn't have quite been there alone anyway.
Exia able to back off in time, and unfortunately for Team Bork, they end up losing out on one of their own, and that's going to be the Methus player. So it's going to be a 5v6. Transam has come through. The Hades is going to be able to let them hold in a 5v6 throughout all of this. 3 G maneuvers have been utilized by them, but hey, if they can try and delay this one, try and get their 6th player back on in. Unfortunately, we still have to wait a few more days for that match pause feature to come in here in Customs, so we're just gonna have to play this one out with that without that 6th man, but Bork are making it work.
Yeah, they're working at work extremely well, and regardless of what happens here, they have held A for so long, and they are going to have a huge advantage going into B, even if they do end up losing this point, which is definitely not assured. But the Trans Am is going to be a great start. Unfortunately, not quite hitting the targets that it needs to, taking a solid amount of damage. The health pack's already down. It's going to be able to get the flank at the very minimum on, I believe, the Ashamar, or the turn A, I think it was, but still, I'm not sure if this is going to be enough for a push.
Yeah, it looks like it might actually just be a hold. It does seem like the Metis player is back on in. You can see the Pale Riders fighting 1v1 up top until the Metis comes in to help him out. And they're still delaying things for as long as possible. Someone needs to hop onto the point if they want to try and delay a little bit more. But there's the third tick, and it looks like it's not going to be a full hold, but things look a little bit troubling for them, having so much difficulty actually pushing in 6v5, utilizing their G maneuvers, utilizing a Trans Am. But for this next push, they're going to have 3 more minutes now to try and take point B. They've got the Screaming Nimbus along with that Ashmar Punch. Both great tools to try and create an opening. And they do find 2 picks and the Screaming Nimbus to follow up to get them immediately on point. And they are taking apart Bork. They want to try and match them for time. 2 people on the point right now about to secure their first tick.
Yeah, 4 people down immediately, and we see the punch from the Ashamar. It does not work out super well. It actually just knocks the Ashamar into an unfortunate position, but this is looking really good. Already getting to 3 ticks, just picking off these players one at a time. The exit come in is at least going to trade. It is going to be nice. Any trade on defense here is going to be positive, but they've got to make it count really, really quickly. This Ashamar is just raining death from above and not letting anybody come in effectively.
It's the Unicorn on the low ground, once again, proving to be the MVP so far now for Team Bork, coming up clutch and holding it down. So it does look like overall, if this point gets taken, it's still going to be Bork now with that lead. You can see now Bork on the defense, trying to get proactive, but a little bit too proactive, and that Exia almost falls. He's able to back away. Unfortunately for the TEKKA side, they were so close to securing 3 ticks, but they did not get it. So they're only halfway there, and it's still a long ways to go as they are pushed back to this choke once again.
Yeah, Dark Infestor going down, but this is 3 picks now on the side for TEKKA. We are going to see one of them get picked back up, but that is a really good opportunity to potentially push. They are not going to have too many more opportunities. They are getting actually a lot of mileage here. It looks like we are seeing the Sazabi G maneuver at least to get this team kill, and they're going to have one big attempt to stop this from being the full cap. They're already so far in. We are going to see the Trans Am activated, but not a ton of mileage. The auto res is going to go off potentially, and we are just seeing them staggered. A very, very healthy TEKKA, as it looks like they just need one more pick, but this is what can happen. This is what almost happened last time. It's still gonna be enough. Still, staggering in could be a whole lot worse, right? At least you're gonna get some more of that time off the board, and you're already winning in time, so you just got to do what you can. But a very nice push regardless from TEKKA.
Yeah, Bork are gonna end this half or end this first few stages with a 2-minute advantage, and that's pretty massive, especially with how strong Bork were actually able to hold down on point A with 1 minute and 47 seconds left. I mean, I don't know. TEKKA was struggling in the first 2 minutes of point A. I believe it almost came down to their final minute on point A to crack that one open. And of course, we have to mention it. It came down to it being a 6v5 in their favor because of the disconnect. And so things are looking really strong for Bork on their point A defense.
Yeah, I mean, of course they did a great, amazing job of taking advantage of the momentum from taking A, and then it was 6v6 after that. So they did, they took that, they picked off a few more people on the way there. They never stopped, just basically blitzing point B, and it worked out very well for them. So really good job to take advantage of that as well. But like you said, they were just so hard pressed to find that first push into A, even at a 5v6, or a 6v5, I should say. So we'll see if they can this time. Of course, it's important to remember that in overtime, you do start with 50% of your G maneuver meter. So even if you have a higher G maneuver, I guess, move, right? If it takes more meter to fully charge, there we go. That's the best way to put it. You're going to have a higher gain at the start. So if we see some really, really powerful ones off the bat, that of course can immediately lead to a push, or it can lead to just enough hold. Because like you said, there's not a ton of time. We're going to see that 1 minute 40 on the clock. That's like 2 pushes at best.
And immediately, the strongest effect you're going to think about that when it comes to the G maneuver meter is the turn A Gundam on the other side. It's going to be so strong. You can see that's why he's the ones taking the initial pot shots. He's going to try and back away, though. They have to be careful to Axon in. It's going to miss, but if he can get that butterfly up, the butterfly just wins a fight itself, and that's all they need. Losing out on Skate Duck is not what you want at all whatsoever, and TEKKA has been plagued by getting staggered throughout all of this. You can see now they're trying to take advantage. They've gotten one more pick onto Regalia, and now you can see this Zabi has nothing to work with. 400 HP. He's getting chased down by a Methus of all things, and things are looking dire now for Team TEKKA Clan, who are already down one map. Now things are looking so bad. It's just a few seconds left, but Bork basically just recreating the defense they had initially there. It's just such a stronghold. The butterfly coming in at the last second there, and that is going to be a complete hold. Oh, these are looking so dire for them, Wonder Chef. Does seem like we might have lost out on Wonder's audio real quick. There we go.
I am back. Yeah, that was strange. I must have double clicked it, but my bad. So yeah, what I was gonna say was, yeah, I totally agree with you. That's exactly what you want to see as Bork Gundam, but not as TEKKA. That was a very rough time to have. Like I said, it was enough for, my exact words were, 2 pushes at best, and unfortunately it wasn't quite 2 pushes. It was like a push and then getting staggered and then not quite being able to get back. And you know, even just like a full 2 minutes might have given them enough time to regroup and get that one final push. But that's why it's so important to do well in that first essentially like the first rounds, right? In the non-overtime, the regulation rounds. And that's why we're going to have more time here on the board now on offense for the side of Bork. And it looks like we might see, I actually really like this a lot, we might see the Marasai, which is not a pick we see often, but let me tell you, in that building, that Marasai Sea Snake ult or G maneuver, just destructive.
Yeah, the Sea Snake snare is, I mean, yeah, the lightning, I believe, is so incredibly strong, especially when it comes to just that entire skill set for Marasai. When you can predict exactly what angles teams are playing. And again, it's the same positions coming out from everyone, right? It's either this high ground or the other high ground. And so being able to just spam that angle and know that you're basically going to have a 95% success rate, it's so incredibly strong. And all they need is that one pick. They have 3 minutes and 47 seconds, and all they need is one tick here on point A. And here comes Team Bork pushing up. They've already gone the first knock. That's going to be Skate Duck going down, and instantly they'll take the height. That's another one. Dark Infestor is out, and Team Bork are on the verge of sending TEKKA Clan now down to the lower bracket. Just like that, they just need to finish off what looks like a few more units. They've kind of swapped positions, strangely enough, on the defense and offensive side. But Bork Gundam are bleeding out just a little bit. They still have to be careful in how they want to take this. Barbados coming in as well to try and finish things off. We'll see if he can get any value here. Still needs to heal up, as he's going to get that passive healing from being out of combat. And they might have just been able to do it. They might have been able to delay long enough, but no, another pick comes on in. That's going to be Bork Gundam securing this in just a moment.
Well, there is one person on point, but I would have to say with this run back, this is just not going to happen. Yeah, they just need to get a little bit more, and that's going to be that. The suit switches were pretty fun, but that was a very strong first push. And so much of it was, again, they got that first pick and they just ran with that momentum. They were very, very ready to all focus on that Ashmar that was sitting in that building. And they just, I mean, they focused it instantly. It was like it was one big bullet that just one-shot it, but it was just everybody's bullets combined. And that was a great showing from Bork Gundam overall, who will be moving to our winners finals. And now both of the teams in the grand finals have been looking really dominant. I am very excited for that match.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, you know, it still reigns true. We're just going to get 2 zeros throughout the winners bracket until we get to the grand finals. Once again, I mean, same thing happened in the lower bracket where it's just 2 zeros up until our losers semifinals, I believe. And I was honestly expecting this one to be a little bit closer for TEKKA to put up a little bit more fight, but we saw the problems that were plaguing them. When it came down to losing one initially in the fight, they end up staggering a lot, and you know, that's something that they have to learn how to deal with. If you end up losing on one, you have to learn how to stabilize, regroup, and not stagger. But they were constantly getting staggered, unfortunately. Part of it was due to Bork being proactive. Once they found that pick, being able to push out and stretch things a little bit further. And so Bork did an amazing job throughout all of that. It looks like they will give Sucky Vacuums a run for their money now in the winners finals.
Yeah, 2 extremely strong teams. I'm really excited to see that. I think that's going to be tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. I'm actually not 100% sure, but I do think so. We are not done yet for today, though. Of course, we still got a pretty big losers bracket with a lot of really strong teams. Like now we see TEKKA in the losers bracket. Now we see Powerpuff Girls in the losers bracket. There's some other teams that we haven't seen yet, like IQ, for example. And we will be getting to those matches. But before we get to those matches, we're again going to go to a short break to set them up. So don't go anywhere, because we're going to return with more of Gundam's Grace right after this.